Before we get into analyzing these circuits, we're going to need to know what the circuit symbols look like. So let's start with our Nmos devices and then talk about the different variations there and then move on to our Pmos. So let's start with an enhancement mode Nmos device. So of course it's a 3-terminal device, so we've got our drain, our source, and our gate. Typically the source is drawn on the bottom for Nmos, and our conventional current is coming out of the source, so we have an arrow on the source terminal pointing outward. And several things of interest are our drain current, which is typically drawn up here on the drain side, but our drain current is essentially equal to the source current because we have negligible, ideally zero current coming into our gate. And so to that point, we notice that there's this gap on our gate side indicating that ideally we are having zero gate current into this terminal here. So this is going to be zero current. We also are interested in this drain to source voltage, VDS, and we're also interested in our gate to source voltage, VGS. And so notice I'm using lowercase parameter, uppercase subscript to indicate that these are AC and DC signals combined potentially, because ultimately we're going to look at doing AC analysis with these in the next unit as well. So this would be our enhancement mode device. So of course we also have a depletion mode device, and we just update this a little bit. So depletion mode. So in our depletion mode, so let me just start again with this guy so I can use it for our Pmos as well. So we've got our gate, our drain, and our source. So we still have the arrow coming out here. All the items are the same. So we have our IDS, our VDS, and our VGS, which are of interest. And now the main difference is for a depletion mode device, we're going to add a little region here, sort of a shaded region, which indicates that the device is normally on. Okay, so that's for our Nmos, and so it's worth mentioning too that this is just one representation of several. So you can look in your textbook if you want to see some different representations. So page 137 and page 139 have a couple different representations for enhancement mode and depletion mode respectively. And some of the main variations are sometimes we'll see a 4th terminal coming from here for our substrate or our body. In this text we're not going to use that, but you might see that as well. Sometimes the gate terminal will look a little bit different, but the basics are going to be the same. So you should always be able to easily tell whether we're dealing with a MOSFET or a BJT, for instance. So let's come down here and quickly look at our Pmos circuit diagrams. And as you would expect, they're going to be mostly the same with just a couple slight differences in polarity and current direction. So let's start with our enhancement mode. All right, so let's start with that same sort of basic model here. So we've got our enhancement mode. And so just like we saw with the BJTs, normally these are going to be flipped vertically such that we have our source at the top and our drain at the bottom. And of course our gate is still over here on the left. And remember, as we talked about with the Pmos, our conventional current is now going into the source. So we have our current direction pointing inward now. So that's a quick way we can tell, looking at the circuit diagram, whether we have Pmos or Nmos, is seeing which direction that arrow is pointing. Because we might still have this S terminal down here at the bottom, in which case the arrow would be here pointing in. So again, arrow direction is going to indicate whether we're dealing with Pmos or Nmos. So of course we still have the same drain current ID, which is going to be the same up here on the source side. And now we're interested in our VSD, our source to drain voltage, as well as our source to gate voltage, so VSG. So that would be for our enhancement mode. So now let's just copy this. So we're going to have the same sort of thing as we're looking at our depletion mode. We're just going to add in that little sort of shaded region again. So this is going to be for our depletion mode device. And we're just going to add that little shaded region right there. And again, recall our depletion mode is normally on, whereas our enhancement mode is normally off. So obviously, just like with our Nmos, there are a couple variations to this as well, typically just adding that 4th terminal or slight variations to how we represent the gate. And so you can see that in the textbook on page 138 and 140. But again, for the purposes of this class, we're going to be sticking with these diagrams that I've drawn in this video.